Mr. Bennt Bengtsson?
Bengtsson.
Mr. Ben, thank you so much for coming in today.
Yeah,
How are you?
It's a pleasure. I'm fine. Yeah, very good.
Please, just for the audience out there, before we get into who you are, please, your name is spelled Bennt, Bennnt, but
Correct.
your surname is Bengtsson.
Bengtsson, yeah.
Bengtsson.
So it's a very old Swedish way of doing names from the 1800. You would always take the name of your father. So if your father was Anders, you would be Andersson, or Sven, which is a common name, is Svensson, or Bengt. But my father wasn't Bengt, so that left maybe 100 years before. But he was a Bengtsson, so I suppose one of his ancestors had a grandfather or something called Bengt, and the son of Bengt.
Wow.
So it's a little bit like the Russian names, Ivan Ivanovich. Or,
yeah. Wow. Well, listen, you are you're from Sweden.
I'm from Gothenburg, which is important.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the only place where they have humor.
Oh, you see, I've never even heard of that place. I've never even been to Sweden, to be honest with you.
No, I'm from Gothenburg.
Gothenburg.
But I spent a lot of years abroad. I went to boarding school in Switzerland and to down in Somerset, in Yeovil. And then I went to Cambridge for language school and then to London, where I studied art at St. Martin's.
Wow, interesting. So how the hell did you find out about Alderney? Because
it was my father.
Oh.
So my father had a construction company, and we did a lot of the main business was Bailey bridging material. So he supplied all the bridges for the Swedish Army and all the pontoons and so on. And the factory was based in Stockport. And the directors of that company were about a similar age. And my father hadn't retired. He was 75. And he said, well, maybe now I retire. So his friend said, you should go to Guernsey and buy a place. So he went to Guernsey. And I thought the prices were ridiculous. It's so expensive. So he said, isn't there anything else? Well, there's a small place. You have to go on a small plane and we can go over there. Yeah, let's go. Because that was the attitude of my father. He was always looking for opportunities. So he came to Alderney and they looked around, and he was very lucky. He found Jackie Main's old house.
Mm-hmm.
And Jackie Main, from what I was told, it was a bit short on money because he had a development down at Bray Beach. So he needed money for that. So he was happy to sell. So I think, as always, my father got a very good deal.
I love that.
And it's one of the most beautiful houses in Alderney.
Yeah.
And I like to quote Michael Caine. Not many people know about that.
Interesting. And so you did grow up coming here?
No. That was in 94, so I was old and married and so on.
Right.
But he came here in 94.
And what did you think when you first came to Alderney? You must have...
We loved it. So at first, I was married then. I have 3 children.
I do know your children.
You do know them, yeah. And they loved it here. And I think especially Julia and Sarah got around a lot. And they were at the playground, And they said, Daddy, there's one girl down there. She fights for the handbag with a brick in it.
I can hear her saying that right now, literally.
Obviously exaggerating a bit. But they loved it here, and they got many friends here. And it was really good for us because we got into the islands, And when my father came, he met some posh friends, and they said, well, we don't really socialize with the locals. And that's not my father's idea of it. He was socializing with everybody and always invited everybody. And when we had parties at home for everybody, there was a mix of bank directors, the welders, everybody got along really well. And it was the same attitude here. So he really loved everybody,
And that's how I remember sort of growing up as well, because I grew up here with my parents visiting, and so we'd live in the UK. I went to school in the UK, but I came here 5 or 6 times a year.
Yeah,
and there was this kind of separation. That's it's changed now, isn't it? Well, it seems like we're in the same melting pot.
But I think also, UK is still a class society to a large extent. I never believed in that. I always take people at face value.
Face value, yeah.
Always. It doesn't matter what they do, and a lot of times it's due to luck. I was lucky. I had a successful father. And it's nothing. It's just how it is. So everybody's important to me.
Well, I mean, obviously, part of the. I mean, I'm very lucky as well. I mean, I have successful parents.
Yeah.
I mean, but I know that their success came from the certain characteristics and the experiences they had. What was it about your father that that you really admired, or what was it you think was special?
Can I go back to your interview?
Please.
With Ray Parkin.
Oh my Lord!
Because Julia sent me that the other day only, and I looked it through, and I thought it was really interesting because there's so much likeness to his upbringing, to my upbringing with my father, and there's so many similarities. And I think his father was very much a go-getter, and that was my father. My father started out with nothing. He only had a box that he made himself and a bicycle, and he went on a ride for about 2 days up to Gothenburg and started out with nothing and made all this business and so on. And he would never take no for an answer. All through his life, he would always say, people would tell him, it can't be done. And I can tell you one story about that. So he was selling a lot to the Swedish army, to the Swedish government, and they gave a bridge down to Chad because there was famine down there. So they needed a Bailey bridge very quick, and with the pontoons because it was a long stretch of bridging material, maybe over 100 meters. So you needed to have pontoons. And they wanted to have one of these Hercules planes. And they said, well, we looked at the measurements and they're just a little bit too small, a couple of centimeters. And so I think we can't do it. And my father said, well, send me the drawings of the aeroplane, of this. And he got the drawings, and he found out that you can actually take out the floor of the plane.
Wow.
So he took out the floor of the plane and had these very thin boards. What would you call them?
Yeah, I get like the
very
sort
thin
of
boards.
like floorboard type stuff. Yeah.
And then they asked me to go down to the chemist to buy about 4 kilos of talcum powder. And they looked at me.
What was the talcum powder for?
On the floor, so it wouldn't be friction.
I see.
And then they built a special ramp, so they would be right in horizontal, and they pushed them in.
Wow.
And they went off to Chad.
Wow.
So that's one example. He would never say no. He always thought there must be a solution to everything.
Well, when you say that he came from nothing, I mean, like, where did your father grow up?
He came on the border from, it's called Halland and Skåne, which is in the very south of Sweden. And that's where he grew up.
And this must have been during the war days? Is it?
Well, he was born in 19, so you know. But he was... he was hit by a taxi, which was going to be an ambulance. So he broke his leg. So because of his limp after that accident, he couldn't do full army service. So he was a telegraphist.
What? Yeah. Wait, what's a telegraphist? Is that
like a communications guy,
right?
Sitting with a radio and.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he did the army service like that.
Good job that taxi came, eh?
Yeah. But he told me. But he told me when he was at the hospital, it didn't mend correctly. So the nurses had to sit on his leg to break it open again.
Oh my Lord! Wow,
that was on the old days.
Oh, and back then, without any of the old the medications and the anaesthetic. Yeah. Oh my Lord!
Now, so going back to Ray and his father, I think I had a bit the same relationship, and I think also my brother Bert, who lives on the island, and I think also all my grandchildren. They were lucky because I really wanted them to meet him before he passed away. So he would have been 75, and he passed away when he was 82. So every year we came to Alderney, and they loved to be with my father, and they got to meet him a lot, to get to know him a lot, you know. And I installed his values in them the same way he installed his values in me. And I saw the likeness with Ray Parkin with that, you know. And it was quite funny because Ray and my father got on really well. And I also got on really well. I mean, I didn't see him as much because I didn't live on the island, but my father would always invite him. He usually made very, very strong gin and tonics.
He was known for that.
He was mostly gin, a dash of tonic.
Yeah, well, I mean, Ray was such a good man, and it is interesting how people gravitate towards people like that. And I don't know what it is. There's like an energy about some people that people just want to be around them, and I think they're just willing to take the leadership. They're willing to lead people.
And when I hear his stories about his father and Jersey and the camps and how they got going here, and his attitude to start the restaurant, he didn't know anything. He's like me with a bloody wine bar.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that in a moment.
Yeah. And nothing is impossible. You just use your force inside and do it. You know, get on with it. And you don't let anything stop you. And my father he had nothing to stop him, nothing. And I think Ray's father was the same. And I believe also Ray was much the same.
And you have brothers and sisters yourself?
I have a brother.
You have one brother?
Who lives next door to me.
Oh, that's sweet. So you and your brother have grown up and retired onto this lovely island.
Well, we used to fight until I was 15. He's 5 years older than me. And we used to fight all the time up until I was 15.
What did you fight about? Was he was just hitting on you? Well, he's an older brother.
Older brother, and
you were annoying little younger brother.
And he had a habit of always locking his bloody door, so I couldn't get in to see what he was up to. But I found a way. So I recognized that our wardrobes, we had different rooms, but our wardrobes were facing each other. So I drilled a hole into his room.
And what was he up to? What was he doing?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I put his underwear a little bit to the side, and then I could see him in bed and so on. But I think he recognized it fairly soon. And then he told father, Bennt has drilled a hole into the wall, you know. And my father is always funny because he didn't react the way you thought he would. He said, that's very clever of you. Did you work out this all by yourself? That the rooms were like that, and you drilled it, you know?
Wow. Do you think he was trying to install a bit of, innovation?
Of course, my brother was furious. He wanted me to be scolded, you know. But,
Did you fight physically? Was it like was it physical? Punch ups.
I used to use I made a baseball bat. I chased him with that and broke his door.
Wow.
And I used to use the shaft for the vacuum cleaner to chase him, because I was when I get angry, I get really angry, and nothing stops me.
Wow.
So, but now I learned how to.
Yeah, well, I mean, growing up with an older brother must have put a bit of. I mean, I think the interesting when you're young and the 5-year age gap's pretty big, right? I mean, I'm sure he was much bigger.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you come into
size had nothing to do with it. I chased him like hell.
Really?
I think he was a bit scared of me.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I think that makes a lot of sense, And then, so growing up, how did Bert arrive on Alderney? Was it just through the same connection?
He was working with my father with the Bailey bridging, and we had a lot of very heavy material. And sometimes he drove the what do you call it? The truck.
Like a forklift?
Forklift truck. And sometimes you were working alone. So instead of waiting for somebody, it was quite a large area. And to get help, he would lift it himself. So in the end, after many years, he got a really bad back, and he could hardly walk. I walked with him to the chiropractor care. And the doctor said, if you continue with this line of work, you will be an invalid for life.
Wow.
So he was around 50. So he had to quit. And then he did some other work, but then he retired early. and he's very good with shares in the stock market, so he does that. But then he went to the States, and he bought like a house from our distant relative who had like a semi-detached house, and he lived there for a while. And he liked America, but there were so many restrictions at that time. Today, you just walk over the border. But in those days, you needed a green card, or you needed to invest 5 million and whatever. And so he decided to come to Alderney. And my father found a house on the corner of Le Petit Val, and that's where he lives. And that's
Wow. And
that's
so
the
are you
story.
still fighting these days? Are you still drilling holes in his wall?
It's too far away. Otherwise, I would.
But are you guys close?
Yeah, we're close. You know, we go out on Sundays, so it's not like a daily thing.
Yeah.
But you know,
That's amazing,
we're
though,
close,
isn't it?
yeah.
And you're in on such a small island that it actually, you're going to see each other a lot, aren't you?
Yeah,
You
no,
know?
we were on good terms.
I love
And
that.
but I'm so busy with the wine bar, with the gallery, with painting,
Mm.
doing this and that. So I have my things,
Mm.
and so we talk on the phone, or I walk over sometimes.
Well, let's jump into the wine bar then, because I mean, I think a few months ago when you first started, I guess the wine bar itself was developed over I guess the last few years, was it? But
It's only a half year old, because we
half year
were
old,
only
yeah.
open 3 weeks, or maybe 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I think 3 weeks last year.
But I remember seeing it in its construction phase. I remember
Yeah.
seeing it opening, and then the last time I saw it, it feels like it's just grown a heartbeat. It feels like it's suddenly. I mean, just give our audience a little bit of a description of what is BB's Wine Bar.
Well, it started. I got divorced in 2009, and my kids were old enough. Because we have a townhouse in Gothenburg, so they each have a flat there. And also Sarah, but she stayed with her mother a bit. She was only just she was 14, but almost 15 when we divorced. And then she also moved to the house. And so they were looking after themselves, more or less. So I went to Switzerland, and I got hold of this studio. It was a really nice studio, which I rented for 1 year because I wanted to see that my children were all right, after the divorce. If not, I would have gone back. But they were all doing fine. And then, so I had an option to buy. I rented it for 1 year and had an option to buy. And then I bought it. And at the time when I bought it, there was a small office next to it that was also free. So I incorporated that and took down the wall. So now I have a beautiful studio in Switzerland overlooking the Alps.
Oh, wow.
And I keep it. And since I bought it, they extended the motorway. So the price for the property has gone up. So I don't really care, So it's a good business, even if
Brilliant.
you pay a bit.
Where in Switzerland is it?
It's a most pretty town of Lake Lucerne, because all the other villages have big roads going right through them. This one, the road runs above the village, so it's right down by the lake, and it's called Veggis, and it's between to Zurich is about 40 minutes, and to Lucerne is about 30 minutes.
Wow.
It's really nice.
And so you created an art studio for yourself?
Yeah. So I started to paint, and I decided I've always been painting and doing a lot of clay things since I was 4 or 5, always, because my father started out as an artist, and he was quite a good artist, and he sold a bit of paintings. I think my mother used to sell his painting on the street.
Real family affair.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was still very poor then, and yeah. So that's how it started. And I always painted. Then I was an advert. I went to St. Martin's and then to Gothenburg College of Art, and then I really loved advertising. I had read a book about David Ogilvy.
Oh, I love this.
And that book, The Confession of an Ad Man.
Yeah, I've read it. It's amazing.
Yeah. And in those days, it was exactly like Mad Men. Exactly.
Don Draper.
Yeah.
Cigarette, whiskey.
Yeah. It was exactly like that.
Wow.
For a few years. Now it's completely gone.
Yeah.
But I'm really happy I was there in those early years.
Wow. And what were you doing in those times?
I was an art director.
Wow.
And I always had a very good flair for headlines.
Yeah.
And then I thought, I want to try. I was a bit dyslexic, I think, when I grew up. Not fully, but a bit. And I think all my children are also. But I thought, I will try it. So I wrote quite a big text for one of my clients. And he just said, oh, that's good. Thank you. And then I started to write. So writing, apart from doing clay, doing oil painting, and writing also. But I mostly write short things, a bit philosophical. But I love writing. It's basically all the same. You're expressing yourself. It doesn't really matter what sort of medium you use. It's all the same for me. And so you asked about the gallery. So anyway, I was there, and then I found it was a bit too tranquil. And I used to come back to Alderney every time, but in 2018 I decided to move to Alderney because I found out I was almost here just about 3 months. So I opted in the beginning to be here 3 to 6 months. So I became a resident. And then later on, I became a permanent resident, like 3-4 years ago. And but we always had a very close connection to Alderney since 1994. So that's a fair amount of years.
Did you know that from the studio that you had in Switzerland? Did you have a bit of an idea about what could be achieved, on Alderney? Were you always looking out for a space?
No, I was just bloody bored in Switzerland. Not in one way. Not
Switzerland is very boring. I lived in Zug for a bit, and it's just
I had a very good friend. He's a photographer, Armin Gressel, and we are really close friends. And he said, "Why you have the ability? You can travel anywhere you want. You got the money for it, and you just sit in your bloody house and stare at the walls at night, because there wasn't much to do in this village."
I want to take a very quick break to thank Bell & Co for helping to sponsor this episode. If you're looking for a place to live on Alderney, whether it's renting or buying, go and visit Bell & Co. They have all the information about what's available on Alderney and can also help guide you to some of the best things to do on the island. Go and visit bellandcoalderney.com and find out how you can escape to paradise. Back to the episode.
So I thought he's correct, and then I moved over here. But I must say, I love Switzerland, and the more you get to know it, the more I love it, because it's. And I think in those early days, I really wanted to hook up again with somebody. And, I used to go to discos in Zurich. And of course, I had in those days, it was very popular to just dance by yourself on the dance floor. So I went uninvited up on the dance floor and danced for myself. Nobody would know I wasn't with somebody.
I love that.
So I really pushed myself to really,
enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
And then obviously, because coming here, you've gone from being in Zurich, where you've got, accessibility to travel anywhere, meet all these people. You're never going to see the same person twice in Zurich. Yeah. But here, you've got 2,000
You see them
people.
3 times a day.
3 times a day, literally. Yeah.
If you walk on Victoria Street, it's about 6 times.
Yeah. How long does it take you to walk from the top of town down to the bottom?
Well, it depends, but no, I know what you mean. But
it's crazy, isn't it? Yeah. And then, so how did the gallery come about? Because when I was younger, that place was a bit derelict. I mean, it was derelict until recently.
and it had been for years. And I think like Ray's father, Ray Parkin's father, and like my father, I see opportunities wherever I go. My head is always spinning with ideas, always, always, always. And I wanted to build a studio on my land where I had my house, but it turned out to be too expensive because it's sloping ground. You had to do a special driveway for the trucks, and we don't have the equipment and so on. And it would have turned out to be far too expensive. So I said no to it in the end. And then I thought, surely there must be something in town. So I looked up at Jackie Main's yard, which was really nice, and I took a lot of photographs and so on. And then I went to the Georgian, and there was Lisa Bunn and Tracy Yates. They were having, I didn't know Tracy at that time, but I knew Lisa quite well and her husband. And there was a birthday. And I was sitting at one table and they were sitting at another table. And so I bought a bottle for them when I saw they were coming to desserts. And we started to chat. And Tracy said, this house, the old presbytery, somebody had looked at it. And they turned it down because they were a family with kids and they were taking too much money to fix bathrooms and kitchens and everything. And it was derelict, just like you said, it was in a hopeless state.
Falling apart, absolutely.
Yeah. But I knew roughly how much they were asking. And I went straight to my phone and texted them to Caroline K. Moat. And she was in Bath, but they were coming over next week. So I met her and her husband. I didn't use any surveyor because I knew it was a dump, you know.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't have given very much more information. And I knew I had to spend money on it. So I opened the line. So we had to walk through the house for about 10 minutes. And they were very fair, to be honest. Because her husband is an architect, and he said, here's a leak and here's that, and all the lintels were gone, basically. And I said, knowing how, and I knew what she was asking maybe a couple of months before. And I told her, I have to spend a lot of money to make this house in order. So give me your very best price based on that. And she said 600. And then almost immediately she looked at me and said, I see you're not happy. No, that's right.
Yeah, your father's spirit kicked in. You're like,
so I gave you 500. And then she said, let's meet in the middle. So 550. And the whole deal was over in 20 seconds.
Brilliant. Wow.
And she was very fair, and I know she likes the way what I've done to it.
I bet, yeah, because she's an artist as well. So, it's,
yeah. And her mother still had paintings in the house at the time. And so then I spent 6 years making, it's Alderney time when you do something here with building work. And, but it started off with me I saw it as a gallery for myself and for my friends. So in the end, we had 17 artists from 11 countries, all very good artists. So it was quite fun. But I felt that, Alderney is small, and we sold a fair amount of art, but it was still, I was sitting in a gallery on summer's days, and my family was down at the beach enjoying themselves. And I thought, this is ridiculous, the way it's set up. And then I met some girls one evening in the garden. And I said, I'm thinking of maybe to add on something else, like afternoon tea. And they all screamed in unison, we want wine.
We need wine. Wow.
And then I thought, because they said, cakes, if you have a bad day, rainy and sun, you have to throw away the cake.
Yeah.
But why? We want wine.
Wine's good. Wine always goes down well on this island.
Yeah,
I don't think we'll ever. In fact, the guys on the cargo ship are always amazed at the amount of alcohol that comes to this island. Over,
yeah.
It's ridiculous. So obviously, you decided to not change it from a gallery. It's still a gallery, but it's also a wine bar.
Yeah, and that's quite important because it is a gallery first, and the wine bar is added to the wine bar. So we are not like, because there are many restaurants that have art on the walls and so on. And but I decided to make a gallery with the wine bar. And I also decided to make a complete change with the artist because there's quite a lot of work bringing the art from the harbor and then bringing it back down to the harbor and doing this and that. So I decided, because I have quite a lot of art, so I decided to take over a container with my art. So now it's all about me.
Wow, so you're getting people drunk in BB's,
exactly,
and selling them your art.
Well, that's the only bloody way to do it.
This is genius. Well, I can't believe. I mean, but this is literally like. I mean, not only is it a very good idea, and more importantly, people are going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But on an island like this, that always needs someone to come in and do something. Every few years, it's like we need someone in the community to go out there, take a risk, and do something that's going to help people.
It was quite funny because after I bought it and started to make it up, I had about 5, 6, 7 people come up and say, well, I was just about to buy it.
Oh, well, mate, I was going to say, that is the house that I would have always wanted to buy. Yeah. And obviously growing up, it's like, it's the very bottom of Victoria Street.
And I couldn't understand it, why nobody bought it.
Right.
It was more or less empty for 5, 6 years.
Yeah.
And it was like a hidden gem.
But it was in a very bad state. So, I mean, anyone that had seen it, I mean, from the outside, you'd say, oh, that looks lovely. Like, but you go in and
all the plumbing is new. Yeah. All the electricity is new. All the radiators is new. The boiler room is completely new. All the lintels are new. And also the side building.
You had
to take it down.
You've kept a lot of the, I guess, the authenticity about it. The history remains.
Absolutely.
You haven't flattened it and started again.
It's the same with our townhouse in Gothenburg.
Right.
It's built 1891.
Wow.
And we have a lot of stock and this and that. And I think the town of Gothenburg wants to preserve it, like being there to take pictures of it and so on. Because we all are very concerned about keeping history and that alive. We never sort of takes things away, or so the house it was quite exciting to do the rebuild. So
did you ever think though that because obviously when you got in there and you were starting to find out more and more of the problems, did you ever think, what the hell am I done?
Well, I knew I'm stupid, so I never thought that. No, but the thing is, because I've been stupid before, and I know when you start fiddling around with an old house, you had it. You have to keep at it. It doesn't make you happy to start to think I'm spending too much or this and that. You just have to go with it. Wow. and try to make it work. And now I'm there, and it looks amazing, I think.
Fantastic.
And we had a lot of people from London, and they walk in and say, wow, it's like being in some crazy place in London.
Yeah. And your opening of BB's Wine Bar, I mean, how did you sort of open it? What was the events?
Well, last year it was all screwed up because the builders weren't ready in May, they weren't ready in June, they were ready in late July, just before Alderney week, and then I had some staff problem, and so it was only run for about 3 weeks, but I learned a lot in that time. And this year I'm blessed with having so good people, and especially Eliza Cameron. She's doing a hell of a job, and she's working out really, really well. And we have a lot of good ideas, and we have fun. You want to know the new names of the upcoming cocktails?
Oh, give us the cocktails of BB's Wine Bar. Come on, man.
Yeah.
You should have brought them with you. I would have definitely taste tested them.
Get drunk a bit.
So what have you got?
So for this coming week, we got Gone Tech.
Oh, okay. Named because...
Well, everything is going tech on this bloody island. You can't get by boat, or you can't get by plane.
And what is in Gone Tech? What
I can't remember, but it's a lot of vodka.
A lot of vodka.
And I think vodka, whiskey together
Okay, so gone tech.
Yeah, and then one popcorn on top.
I love that. The useless popcorn.
Yeah,
Just
and then we have Alderney Runway.
wow, aptly named.
Patchy but strong.
Oh yeah, patchy but strong. I love it.
And then you have the classic Long Island iced tea.
Brilliant.
Ours is Short Island iced tea. Stuff like we have fun.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Wow. And then you recently celebrated Milker Punch.
Milker Punch.
Milker Punch.
Where you helped me a lot.
Well, can you? Because obviously, yeah, we collaborated on a little video together.
Yeah.
But actually, I didn't really know what Milker Punch was until after I made that video with you.
And I didn't either.
Well, I mean, I don't know. You said to me, you're like, I need you to. And literally, I walk in there and you go, Cam, I've got this idea. And thankfully, because you had a storyboard, I went, fantastic. I got my camera. Let's do it right now. Yeah. I need some cow's udders coming in, and I need the milk to go like this. And I'm thinking the whole time, I'm like, what the hell are we making? You know, but Milker Punch is a traditional day on Alderney, right? I mean, I really didn't know much about this.
I think it got close to 25,000 hits.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, they weren't all on Alderney, were they? Yeah,
no.
Like 1% on Alderney. Wow.
No, it was fun.
But Milker Punch, I think, goes back to the day that
1800, I think, something.
Yeah, that the day that I guess the farmer was getting rid of a load of milk or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But what is it? Milk, vodka, vermouth, or something? It's a cocktail.
Rum.
But it's a milk cocktail.
Yeah.
Which I just doesn't.
And
really...
I made it up as we were filming.
Yeah. Well, I kind of could tell. Yeah.
There were no measurements or anything. That just feels like right, you know.
Well, thankfully,
and it was tasting really nice.
You know, your staff are so good because you know, and you're so good at sort of like giving people the freedom to sort of, you know, to make the decisions. A lot of people micromanage and they say, do this, do that, do that.
No,
but you know,
do that.
Your team are really being very proactive by themselves.
My what do you say, leading star?
Yeah.
That is to have fun at work, to relax, always relax. And I always remind them when everything is chaotic, the only thing you're doing is selling a glass of wine. That's all. But we have fun. We have a lot of fun. And they're doing fantastic work. And I got so much praise from our visitors. You know, they say you have fantastic staff and it's really nice. No, and I think also, you know, my father, he wasn't like that. He would always supervise every bloody thing you did. So, and you know, I worked off and on helping him over weekends and so on, but it wasn't fun working for him. I mean, he was always a very nice guy, always a very generous guy, but he would never let you take responsibility, which I needed, you know, and that is brought into the wine bar now, because I give them a lot of responsibility, and I never get angry if something fucks up. You know, I don't really care so much. We fix it for the next time. And the only thing I don't like is sloppiness. I can't tolerate sloppiness because that's your showing you don't care. But if you care, and if you don't succeed with something, it doesn't matter, you know.
Well, I mean, I think someone has to be a role model to you, and you have to get told off. Yeah, you get told off, and you don't do it again. And good, you know, good stuff, right?
But I would say 99% is working perfectly.
Yeah.
There's only a few things that maybe somebody haven't thought about. You know, I said, you know, and I always try to motivate and give the reason why. And this is why you can't do that, and this, you know. But we are a young company, you know. I would say we started this year, even if we had 3 weeks last year. It's basically starting.
I think you're going to have a really good summer. I mean, if this weather, well, right now today, it's got a little bit grey. But a few weeks ago, we started seeing it,
and I like it because Eliza tells me off sometimes.
Oh, so she tells you off as well.
No, but I encourage us. And she said, because she's out and about a bit in town, and she said, people really think your cocktails are too expensive. Yeah, but I want to earn money. Yeah, but not earn money for me personally, but for the survival of the business, for the survival of BB's Bar. Yeah, but they say it's too expensive. They were at 14 and 16. 16 I could motivate because there's a lot of liquor in, or it's BB's Pimps proper. There's a lot of things in it. But apart from that, she said 14 is a lot. So now we have 10.95 for everything.
For everything?
Yeah.
Wine, cocktails?
Yeah, I listened to her.
Wow,
interesting.
interesting.
I thought about it.
And they're very big measurements.
Yeah. Normal measurements that are for the drink.
Because everything is getting more expensive, right? I mean, and ever since the pandemic, it seems like the prices just keep going up.
At first, I didn't like it, and I thought, well, it's worth 14, but then I realized that she had good arguments. And so let's do it. So it's now 10.95.
And obviously, you're not just a wine bar. Like you in terms of an event space, you've got such. I mean, it reminds me of my warehouse. I used to live in a warehouse in London.
Yeah,
we had loads of artists in there, and you could go to any little space in the place, and there'd be someone doing some work, or there'd be something unique. And I think that's when I walked into your wine bar, I thought, it's gonna take me hours to walk around this place, because everywhere you look, there's just something new on the walls, and you've got people to sign their names everywhere. I mean, most restaurants or wine bars you go in, you even touch our wallpaper and you're done for, but here you're like, grab a pen, write something on the wall.
With the signatures on the wall, that started the first year when I had the gallery. And that was an idea I got from a friend in Gothenburg. He was moving out from a flat. They were renovating the whole house, and he had a door. So when he had parties, everybody would write on his door, and they were quite rude things, and naughty things. But so I thought that's a bloody good idea to have as a guest book, instead of having a guest book which nobody looks at. So I started that the first year, and now we have maybe 600 signatures.
Wow!
It's from all over the world. And Nicola Brink has been there twice.
Well, the famous doctor.
Yeah, the famous doctor.
Our good old doctor, Nicola Brink. Wow. Did she like it?
She loved it. And she drew small bubbles. That was the year of the bubble.
Of course. Well, weirdly, the pandemic was quite good for Alderney, wasn't it? Because it was like we had.
It opened up the bailiwick.
The bailiwick bubble, as it was. I mean, I actually was in this warehouse in North London, living with 300 people in a big complex, and so the moment the pandemic came and everyone had to stay indoors, it got a little bit Lord of the Flies, to be honest with you. Our lovely creative scenery turned into this kind of like, what's going on? And you had some people panicking, some people not panicking. We had the Hare Krishnas coming and feeding us, and then trying to convince us to join, So I ended up just cutting loose, and I was like, right, I'm going to go to Alderney. And obviously I had to get vaccinated, and I came here, did my whole, but then I was here, and I walk around the streets, and I'm like, there's no isolation, or there's no the strict rules of COVID in the UK were just not applied here, because we literally shut ourselves out from the rest of the world. Met a lot of Guernsey people, and then of course it was just very family focused.
In a funny way, it was good in many ways.
Yeah. A lot of Guernsey people then bought houses here, which of course was great for the island. And it's a shame, really. We need another pandemic. Bring back a pandemic. It will really help our visitor numbers over here. But Dr. Nicola Brink came, so she's one of your signees on the wall.
Yeah, twice.
Twice. Wow.
She came back, I think, 2 years after.
Maybe you should make a cocktail for her. I think she the famous Nicola Brink cocktail. Go and see what kind of cocktail
made
she
on
likes.
Corona beer.
Yeah. No, I'm sure Corona beer. I'm sure that would be an excellent addition to it.
Yeah.
But obviously your art is everywhere in that place. I mean, it really is. Did you import that from your studio in Switzerland?
Yeah, I have more than twice as much still in Switzerland. And I must have about 300 oil paintings.
Wow.
200,
Wow. How the hell, where do you put all these?
Sorry?
Where do you put all these paintings?
Well, here it's up in my studio, which is on the first floor, and all over the walls downstairs.
Wow. And can I make I mean,
an offer?
I'm gonna make an offer.
Okay.
Hey, one day I'll buy the lot, including BB's wine bar off you. Although I'm sure your children would never allow that to happen. No, your art is incredibly authentic. You're the most authentic person I know on this island. Like, and I really value authenticity. I make videos where I don't care about the mistakes. If the camera gets knocked off or whatever, it's like it is what it is. And when you first sort of showed me around the gallery, when it was a gallery then, and you were explaining your paintings, you say, well, I didn't care about that, I didn't care about that. I was walking around thinking, I love this man. I was like, I really love that, because in a world where everything's supposed to be perfect and you're supposed to have this, your approach to art seems just very opposite to what a lot of people do. So where did your love for art, or where did your inspiration come from?
It started when I was young, and I wrote something because I was trying to put down what I felt about art, to explain it in a few words. So I said, I'm painting fragments floating freely in the space of time. And that means that in my mind, I have memories from when I was 4, from when I was 10, or from yesterday, all mixed together in this painting that I'm doing. And I also discovered very early on, because I'm not a big fan of they're fantastic artists, the ones that paint very almost like a photograph, but that's exact opposite from what I'm doing, because I'm really just expressing myself, and art can be anything that you want. It can be half finished. It can just be something you hate, and then you come back to it after 3 years and paint a bit more. And it's an ongoing story, And so I started to paint when I was very young, because my mother and father was always fighting, and they were very opposite personalities, but they loved one another. And we lived in a nice house a bit outside of town, and there weren't any communication. So my mother was left alone for 7, 8 months. My father was out traveling in Europe, and she started to drink. And she was an alcoholic in the end, and she took sleeping pills and this and that. And I can say this now because I love her, as you say in English, to bits. And that didn't, I sort of have a distance to it. And I could see why. I could see the reason why. It wasn't just like saying, oh, she drinks, or, I could see the struggle she had behind it. And that affected me. And my father was completely opposite in his temperament and this. But I was really, really very close to my mother. And I have a shitty upbringing from a mother's, to have a mother when you grew up. I never did my homework. My mother locked herself in a room drinking. And in a way, it was sad, but I don't know what it was. I just understood it. And I always had such a close relationship with my mother. And I never, what you call it, not scolded her, but, I always
blamed her for it. You never.
No, exactly. And, we were so close until she died, all the time. And the fun part in the whole story is that my mother got a stroke, and she met my father, who was living in Alderney at the time, but he came over, and they met. And my mother could hardly walk after the stroke. And they sat on a park bench, and I could see they were in love.
Wow.
And that is how I paint. You see, there's so many things in life. I'm now jumping a bit. So in psychology, in art college, they taught you that the human mind is like that. They always want to put things in order straight away. So when I see you the first time, are you a friend or a foe? Can I like you or dislike you? Do I have to fight you? Or are you my friend? And that goes on all through life with things. And things are never work out as planned. Never, ever. And that is why people get divorced and they screw up things all the time. And that's really the way I paint. I realize this journey, it's a journey. And I always think that we are like oak trees. We grow up, we become strong, we have leaves. The fall comes when you get old, and the leaves fall. And all of a sudden, the wind comes and blows one leaf all the way somewhere, which we didn't expect. And that's how life is. You know, there's so many things in life, they turn out completely different. And I had a few girlfriends.
I bet you did.
and at one time, you think you're in charge of your life, like that story in the beginning. You said a friend, it's black and white.
Yeah.
But it's not the way it is in reality. You know, I met one girl, I looked at her at a crossroad in Gothenburg, and we were together for a couple of years. It was really good. Or there's so many incidents, and you think you are in charge. You're not in charge at all.
Do you believe in like a higher being, or like destiny, or spirituality? Is there anything like that guides?
Well, I believe in accidents, opportunities, and it happens all the time. I mean, why should I be at the Georgian to hear that this house was for sale? But the thing is also, you have to be that personality that are alert to when it happens. You have to be ready to act when it happens. And so I was already like I told you, I was about to build. So I had already organized a little bit the economic side, so I could act swiftly when the
opportunity came.
Yeah, exactly. But in general, you have to go with it. You must never be afraid. The only thing you can do is fail. And what's that? It's just another process of learning.
But I guess a lot of people are afraid of failure, because we live in a culture where you only ever see the finished article. You only ever see the people who have succeeded, but you don't realize that it's taken them 20, 30 years to develop to that point. You just go, oh, that's what I need to be, and you kind of skip those building blocks of the failure.
So my painting is a little bit. I decided from the start, I'm just going to paint what I want, because I want to be true to myself. If you mix all in what I told you, and I always say that if you have 100 people and 2 like my art, I'm really happy. I'm not a volume artist, and I'm quite sure my art will be acknowledged at one time. And I like what Vincent van Gogh said when he was struggling. I'm sure one day my paintings will be worth the paint I painted it with. So and I also think, because my art, you have to understand it a bit, but that's what I want it to be like, and art is so many different things for different people. And some people hate Picasso. They don't want to understand why. I mean, he was an excellent artist. If you wanted something lifelike, his early works, and he was in the academy in Spain, and but he's all that's. I'm not a fan of Picasso as such, but I'm a fan of Picasso as a man, as a painter. The way he traveled in his head all through these centuries. He discovered the art from Nigeria, Liberia, and he changed his styles.
I don't know anything about Picasso. I don't know anything about art history.
There was a famous exhibition with art from, I think it was from Liberia or Nigeria in Paris. And that influenced all the cubism and so on. And he changed his style completely. And he nicked a lot from a lot of artists.
Hey, who is it that said good artists steal?
Yeah.
It has to be like that, really.
No, but I would say it's more you're influenced.
Influence, yeah.
And you see, you discover a new road. You see a little bit of a road that somebody is traveling, and you say, "Oh, I got to travel on that same road for a bit." And yeah, so that's how I paint.
Have you ever painted something that you think this is really shit, or have you ever regretted painting something, or thought maybe I should never show this to anyone?
I would say 85% of my paintings are shit, but I never leave them. They're still my babies. So a lot of times I come back and I do a second or third or fourth painting on top of it, and then they can become one of my best paintings.
Wow,
so it's quite fascinating.
Now I have seen one of your paintings, which I believe you said that you couldn't show people because it was a very inner thought that came out.
Yeah, I got a couple I haven't shown anybody.
So I mean, you're really, then when you're doing that, you're not making it for anybody. You're making it because you can.
Well, it's a way of relief valve. It's just you need to get it out of your system.
So is it like therapy in a way? Is it something to
in a way, like when I was small, I bet. Well, I just started and we got on to something else. But so when I grew up and my father and mother were fighting and so on, I think it was a way of me getting away from it all. And when luckily I saved almost all my paintings from childhood, and I see a lot of destruction, people fighting, shooting one another, lots of blood, airplanes, accidents, car accidents. And I'm sure for a psychologist, I would say that this child is not.
You have a very large therapy bill.
Yeah. So I think, but I'm also a survivor, and we in Sweden we have a thing. So when small children face difficulties like that, some children are like, what's that flower that they yellow and then they turn white and you can blow on that.
Oh, like
is that daffodils? No?
Daffodil, yeah.
So in Sweden we have a saying that some children are like daffodils. They can grow through asphalt. I don't know if you've seen it here, but in Sweden you can see it quite often. You have a lot of tarmacked pavements.
Yeah.
And here and there you see a daffodil. It grows right through. And I know I'm that sort of person, that nothing stops me. And I just use what I have in front of me and make something out of it. It doesn't really matter what it is and what situation. I always think forward. I never look backward. And I mean, there are times when it's really hard to forget the past, when something has upset you. But basically, I'm always looking forward.
It's interesting because I mean, there's a lot of understanding these days about trauma and how it can either harden you or soften you.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's we're not talking hard as in like, getting things done or whatever, or soft. It's like, if you've developed empathy and this like incredible kindness towards people and be able to get shit done, then actually in a way your hard times has softened you to the point where maybe you've if your father was someone that was very, very hard and you're a little bit softer, much probably softer, then it kind of makes a lot of sense that that's kind of how it goes. I know that some people who have been in those terrible times become drug abusers, and they hurt themselves and they hurt other people. They always say that hurt people, and so it's one of those things that you kind of I mean, I'm glad that you've found art as a way to express yourself. I mean, when did that, or do you remember where the expression came from? I mean, because you said that obviously, coming from a very young age, did you ever go to art galleries, or did you see any artists that you thought maybe this is what I want to do?
like I said, my father was a good artist. He taught me how to
What did
make.
what did he make?
He made very boring paintings, but at the same time, very, very good ones.
Right.
So he was very traditional. He would paint the neighbor's house or some, but he has some that I really like. But it wasn't emotional at all. It was more like the likeness of things and
Getting it perfect.
getting it perfect like that. And yeah, that's the way he painted.
So do you still have any of your father's paintings?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. And obviously, and how long ago did your father pass away?
That was in 2003, I think.
Wow. So a number of years ago now. And how do you
Yeah.
feel now when you're looking at your father's paintings?
No, I love them because he did them, and I can still remember he made a painting. It was a copy of Rembrandt, the man with the golden helmet. I'll show you that when you come to my house. And I remember because he started to get into business, so there was a transition where they had a lot of half-made paintings because his business it took off like a bomb once he started with doing business.
This is the building bridges, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And so I can tell you very shortly how it started. But anyway, so I still remember he put too much white in it, and he always regretted that. I shouldn't have put white on top on certain details and so on, because he always liked to mix the paint and not just putting white straight on is usually like a fake thing.
Don't do it.
No. Well, it depends what you're painting, but
Yeah.
sometimes you use it to don't bother to mix it, you know.
So do you think that his influence on you? Do you think that you wanted to go the opposite style or the opposite approach to art?
Not in any way. No, when I started, I did some nice portraits of my family, and I did a portrait of him in oil paint. He looks like a gorilla, but
it wasn't great.
No, it wasn't great, but I tried. Oil paint is quite difficult, and no, he was definitely an influence, and but not so much as what he did, but being close to painting and so on. He knew some artists and so on. But he wouldn't take us to art museums or anything like that. And I think that developed when I went to art college. Then all of a sudden I saw other artists. I learned about other artists. And then when I got a bit older, before Carl, my son, was born, I went into university to learn art history. And I really liked that. And after that, I learned a hell of a lot of going on I go on Instagram every day. And whenever I see a new artist, I just take screenshots and look at this page and so on. And you get inspired. It's not like you get inspired by copying, but you can see a small detail in a painting. You say, that's really clever, the way they use the colors or the forms. And a lot of times I like the simplicity when people do things, And a lot of times you don't have to make things complicated. You're just trying to relay a feeling or something,
Like move emotions. Yeah. And dare I get into this subject now, but I mean, what do you feel about AI and the ability for the computers to
but
create?
I have the same attitude as I have in life. It just happens. I don't put any feelings into it, but I'm going to use it for sure. And I went to your seminar, and you said in the end, if you don't embrace it, you had it in a way, or you will use people who know how to use it. But I want to be one that knows how to use it. But I will never use it in the way of making a painting, because then my painting will be in that AI library
Forever.
And I don't like that. But I'm using it to ask. I made a cocktail with the AI.
Wow.
So I was thinking of a couple of things, and I wrote them down, and it responded, "That's a really nice combination." So that's on our list now.
Brilliant. Wow. But I mean, do you fear that in some way the value of art will get depreciated, or even the economy of it all?
I think there's going to be a lot of change. The biggest change, I think, for authors that struggled with the book for maybe 2 years to get it down. And in the old days, they could have a book opening. They had a lot of people. They had a big success and so on, and they sold hundreds of thousands of copies, and that's how they make the living.
Mhm.
But today, anybody could just, as soon as you put it on anywhere, it will just be stolen and taken away, and they alter bits of it, and you can't claim the copyright anymore. And that's really, really sad for authors. And I see that as that's really sad. With painters, I think, you see straight away when somebody's doing AI, it looks like shit, and
You did say that 80% of your work is also shit too.
Yeah.
The robots can't always
but
get it right.
I got a different type of shit. Mine is handmade. This other one is made from 100 paintings maybe.
Yeah.
But I met the guy from Getty in Sweden, sort of married into the family of my youngest daughter, I think it is. And he said, because we had a discussion about it, and I said, we talked exactly what we're saying now. And I say, each painting you must be able to trace each painting that you are doing with AI. You must be able to trace each little pixel or whatever and ask them for a compensation. And he said, that's exactly what Getty are doing today. They're suing people.
Wow. I was wondering
because of this.
Yeah.
Because it's a little bit like when this pirate thing came with the MP3 players and so on. Everybody just stole it.
Yeah.
And then Steve Jobs said, I'm sure people want to pay for it because they don't want to steal. And then you have iTunes.
Yeah, right.
So I think when people realize that there are many artists doing your painting, I think you're going to be prepared to pay maybe a pound or two.
It is. Obviously, like it's hindsight's a wonderful thing, right? And so you go from the days of pirating music, and I remember downloading things off LimeWire and all these pieces of software. And then you had to pay, I think it was like 89p or something per song, maybe £5 for an album. And then the sort of streamers came along, and these platforms were subscription models. And ChatGPT is a subscription model. You pay your £20 a month and you get a subscription. Now, the real question is, these lawsuits that are now going against ChatGPT and the other AI companies, are they too rich and big to care about Getty's lawsuit? Is it really, are they just going to kick it into the legal long grass and say, well, go for it, come at us, whilst we're still training every day to it's unbelievable, because if me and you did this, we would be sued straight away. But because the big companies are getting away with it,
I don't worry so much about it, because it is what it is. There's nothing you
can do. I love that.
Well, there's nothing you can do about it.
Wow.
But the thing is, to view future and your next steps is to just adapt and try to see the possibilities with it. And I can certainly see things in AI that I could use, but I would not use it to create paintings or to write things. Never. And I don't want to give them anything from what I've done.
They'll find it.
Yeah, I'm sure they will.
They will figure it out.
They will figure it out eventually. But there's always opportunities in life. Always, always, always. And with my paintings, that haven't been like that. Well, maybe, like you say, they will find it. But it's even if it's shit, it's my shit, and it's genuine. And eventually somebody will say, I get it now. Whatever. But, yeah.
I really like your attitude, man. It's so refreshing, in a world where we literally are always being told that we need to work harder and do more and do more. It's like the idea of just accepting what the reality is. It's not a lot of people preaching that these days. So where I mean, you've obviously you got children, you got grandchildren.
Yeah, five now.
You're old grandfather now.
Yeah.
What kind of advice do you want to give to your grandkids in the future, on the basis that we may be dead, but this podcast may still be alive in the next sort of 50, 100 years? What kind of advice could you give to children in the future?
I would go back to Ray Parkin's father. I would go back to my father. So I listened to my father, and I listened to my mother, and I listened but to my father, and then my kids listen to my father and to me, and I hope the grandchildren will listen to their parents. So I hope that continues. And I always try to preach our history to my kids because it's important. It just didn't happen like that. Because I seen my father work 7 days a week, late at night till 2, 3 o'clock. And he had to go to hospital and I'm sure he died a bit early. I mean, he was 84, but I'm sure he could have lived to 90 had he not worked so hard. So I've seen that side of it. It didn't come out of pure luck. So I can very shortly tell you what happened. So he had no money. He was painting. But then he had a small motorcycle shop, and he heard that you could go down to Holland to buy old motorcycles. So he went to Holland somehow with no money. and when he came to Holland, he got to see the office's mess. And they said, we don't have anything here. It's all done in Lübeck, in Hamburg, in Germany. But if you want to, we can give you a ride in our military plane. So they flew him to Hamburg, I think for free, because he was social, he got on with people. And then had this Harley Davidson Indian all lined up along the autobahns and so on. So from nothing, having no money, but they had a lot of orders from Sweden, he sold in the end 12,000 motorcycles.
Wow.
And that was the start of the company.
Where was he selling them?
To Sweden.
Wow.
And in order to get the money, he had to travel to London to a Swedish bank to give him the money. He was showing the contracts he had for the motorcycles. And that's how he could buy the motorcycles and so on. And then when he was down there, he was at a hotel called Reichhof, which is where all the foreigners were living. They were from the Swedish army, the British army, the American army, and so on. So he met these guys from the Swedish army in Hamburg. And they said they were short of a lot of army material. I mean, Sweden wasn't a strong army at the time. And they wanted to buy Bailey Bridge. It's an English patent made during the Second World War. Sir David Bailey. And so he got a contract with the Swedish army. He would get so much pence, you could say in English, per kilo. So he went all the way down to Naples, where the Allies came from Sardinia and up. And they built these bridges. And after the war, they would just put them in heaps like that. So he went all the way down to Naples, all the way up through Europe, up to Hamburg. So he supplied all the bridging material for the Swedish army. And later on, all the pontoons. And then it turned into a civilian business where you would have all the largest contractors. When they were repairing bridges or building a new one, they would put the temporary bridge next to it. And we also had a lot of foreign aid works from the Swedish government. So I think in Laos alone, There was war done, Vietnam War and so on. So in Laos alone, there was 90 bridges he sold from these Bailey bridges. And he had bridges to Chad, Mozambique, everywhere.
Wow. So he's a real entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I want to take a very quick break to thank Bell & Co for helping to sponsor this episode. If you're looking for a place to live on Alderney, whether it's renting or buying, go and visit Bell & Co. They have all the information about what's available on Alderney and can also help guide you to some of the best things to do on the island. Go and visit bellandcoalderney.com and find out how you can escape to paradise. Back to the episode.
So, you can do anything really in life if you just want to do it.
Yeah.
And that's my next point. And that is Alderney. Coming back a bit to Ray, and I could see at your very last interview with him, he talked about Alderney. And he really didn't like the way Guernsey is treating Alderney. And I mean, I don't think he would say it. Fuck Guernsey.
Oh, well, yeah.
But
he basically said it.
He basically said
in a way.
it.
But he's right in a way.
He's dead right. And now having lived here so long and I think I'm allowed to say what I think. And I love Guernsey. I love Jersey. And I love Alderney. But I think if you view it as a Channel Islands, we will have clout. And I love a lot of the politicians. I don't know them, but in general, in Guernsey. But some I really dislike because they're robbing us. We should take back the gambling industry. Why should we not have the gambling industry? We should take back Alderney. That is an Alderney.
Alderney is. Alderney is Alderney in French. Literally,
they bloody robbed us.
Yeah.
And I would like the Alderney papers to stand up a bit, to be a bit more, we are like slaves to Guernsey. We don't appreciate what we're doing here. And we have a lot of ideas. We have a lot of people that are really clever. And but we are treated like shit. And I don't like it. Have you ever seen that film with that? He's a broadcaster. He stands in the window.
I'm mad as hell.
I'm mad as hell.
I'm not going to take it anymore.
We're not going to take it anymore. That's how I feel about Alderney and Guernsey. We're mad as hell, and we're not going to take it anymore. We need to take back the gambling industry. We need to take back Alderney. We need to be treated like equals. The bailiwick idea is that we are equals. We are not something lesser than Guernsey. We are the same. We're equal. And I tell you, we have something that nobody else has. And that is, we're an asset to Guernsey. In Guernsey, you can't walk around. I'm now talking about the bailiwick. You can't walk around the island of Guernsey. I've never been to Hermannshoek, so I can't say so much about that, but I heard they're lovely islands. But let's say Alderney, you can actually walk around the whole island without being interrupted by luxury villas or this and that. You have clean air all the time because we don't have that many cars and so on. And we should take back what is ours. We should not be humbled by Guernsey, the way they run the bailiwick. And if they can't do it, we should be independent. We should be independent and work with France. We should work with the UK. We should work with Jersey. We should also work with Guernsey. But they got to understand they've gone too far and we're not taking it anymore. That is my view.
You're not the first person to say about the independence. I mean, it's difficult for me to see how this island could possibly support itself. I mean, everything is expensive, right? And we don't make enough money for.
Yeah, but I heard the figure.
I mean, unless we brought in new taxes, if Alderney was to raise taxes,
you don't need that. You don't need that. We need to be about 3,000 people, not 2,100 people, and then you need to take the gambling alone, which has been stolen, is 60 million, I've heard, in revenue.
Mm.
What can
and we see what 1-2 million of that every year.
Yeah, but we should have 60 million, for God's sake. Why should we have a handout from Guernsey? It's ours. It's ours. We should take it back.
Well, some clever people set it up on Alderney, 20 odd years ago.
Yeah.
And I guess I believe it's something to do with the servers.
Today you can have a Starlink flying over the place.
I know.
So
yeah.
I only see possibilities. I know I hear a lot of this.
Okay, so how do we get an extra 1,000 people to move here then?
Well, you get rid of Alderney if they don't want to play ball.
Well, because they are a government-owned airline.
Yeah, I mean, we just invite tenders in.
Yeah, and
we don't pay for it. The airlines see the possibilities, and they people have an incentive with money. So if you have an incentive to run an airline, they will take the risk. Let them earn the money. And as soon as that happens, and we get more people in every year, you're going to have more restaurants, you're going to have more shops, you have more than anything, you're going to have a lot of more work. And the big issue now is you're going to make young people stay, So it's like it's like a snowball. So once the good thing starts rolling, you're going to see all these things happening. And somebody says, which is a fair comment, what about healthcare? Well, I'm sure they will be happy to have healthcare combined in UK or in France or in Jersey or wherever. It's just a matter of money and the way you pay it. But you pay basically the same. But we can have that moved somewhere else,
It is interesting because, I mean, all of this, the nice thing about Alderney is that you are, as Ray said in his interview, it's like you don't have to ask for permission, on an island of 2,000 people. Actually, you just have to be proactive. And if you put up imaginary barriers of like, you can't do this, you can't do that, nothing will ever happen. So get up and do it. I am very happy about our new states members. I say I'm happy. I was happy about the last states members before they ignored me. Since the year 2016, I've been volunteering to work for the states to help promote Alderney. And one thing that I believe is really, really damning for this island is the fact that digital storytelling is everything these days. We can reach anyone around the world. Millions of people can see us. But
it's ridiculous.
We don't use it.
We have, 65 million in the UK. We have equally many people in France. We have in Europe hundreds of millions. And we're sitting here like idiots on this small island.
Because no one knows we exist.
Exactly.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I mean, but this is definitely for me, and it is an ageism thing. Like, I mean, I'd hate to be one of those ism type of people, but when a young person who understands how to use social media goes and tries to teach an old dog new tricks, you get bitten. And more importantly, you get ignored.
Oh, shoot the dog.
Shoot the dog. Well, this is the issue, and this is why the new states members, I feel, are more susceptible. They're a bit younger. They do understand there is a need to use this technology.
There is a systemic failure in the way we're running it. I don't know if you got the time, but I'll try to do it very quickly.
Go for it.
Yeah. So in Sweden, about 60% is uninhabited. Rivers, forests, doesn't bring any tax money. But the Swedes think this way. This is a fantastic asset. We got to subsidize these woods, these rivers, these natural parks. People come from all over the world to experience the Northern Lights, the Laplanders. It's an asset for us. And that's the attitude we have in Sweden. The attitude in Guernsey regarding the bailiwick is that, oh, that bloody Alderney, they're costing money all the time. Do we really have to give a pound to the runway, which is unsafe? Do we really, we take away, we make a reason for taking away the Alderney Airlines. We make a reason for taking away the gambling industry. and they're just a nuisance costing money. So I'm saying you have to think 180 degrees different. You have to realize that Alderney is an asset to the bailiwick. It's an asset. It's not a liability. It's an asset. And if you view it as an asset, you understand that we are in this all together in the bailiwick. We treat everybody the same. Everybody has the same right to the money, to the tax money. And it's not a liability to repair a bloody runway. I mean, it's so fucking crazy to think the way they're doing. Why wouldn't you repair a runway that's part of your
it's crazy,
jurisdiction?
It's been years.
Why aren't you doing it? You're actually risking lives. You know, and the politicians that are that, I know, because I've spoken to some here, I know that some politicians in Guernsey are really good. They really feel for Alderney and so on. But the rest,
well, I guess
it's just crazy.
The thing is, I have to be a little bit empathetic here, because not only is there a lot of problems to solve, and you can't be an expert at all of them, but also that you've now come into this like disruptive age of technology, which the majority of the people in the Channel Islands are just not able to adapt to. You know, this social media, you know, this AI, the best practices of anything today, whether it's starting a business or telling a story or whatever, these things are so fundamentally different to how they were 10, 20 years ago, that how can I expect the politicians, who are trying their best, and it may not always be what you want, but that none of them are actually adapted to come into the future. Now, this is why technology companies employ 20-year-olds. You know, it's why Alexander Hamilton was, I think he was like 19 when he signed the Declaration of Independence. You know, Elon Musk was like 20 something when he started PayPal. You know, if the people in the position of power could only understand that they may not have the answers themselves, but they may have a community in the Channel Islands, a group of people who are, you know, who could come together, and a bit of a think tank. You know, one thing I've never ever been asked is how to help this island.
But you know, how lovely would it be if we market the Channel Islands instead of Alderney, instead of Guernsey, instead of Jersey?
But you know, Guernsey's just as bad at marketing as we are. I mean, they did run an influencer marketing campaign last year, which was weird, because they had one of Alderney's influencers, a young guy who grew up here, going to Guernsey, Sark and Herm, but not Alderney. You know, so although we pay our taxes into the Guernsey, and I'm sure Visit Guernsey do a great job, but well, I don't think they do a good job. By the way, I don't think any tourism department has the skills that an agency would.
No, but that's what I'm saying. We have to do a 180-degree turn. Think different. If you don't think different, we're just fiddling around with the same pieces all the time. We have to think different.
But that would require taking a risk. And if you take a risk, then
life is a
you might
risk.
be looked at as a failure then.
Well, what the hell? I told you, failure is not a failure. It's a platform for the next step.
So we want to nurture failure, really. We want to say it's okay to fail, but try.
Of course it is.
It's not okay not to try. That's the only thing. Of course, yeah. Do you know, I'm really with you there. I think there is going to be a resurgence, because my biggest fear for Alderney, and looking at the demographics...
Alderney is dead in 10 years.
Yeah.
If you don't do anything.
I mean, it's dead is actually depopulation. It goes from 2,000 people down to 1,000 people, and then eventually last one out, turn lights off. You know, I mean, but we will. I mean, we're going to have to try and figure this out. You know, because the people that love this island won't let it die.
I think like this: we have to be angry like hell, and we're not taking it anymore. You know, that's the only way forward. You know, if we are going to be pussies to Guernsey, nothing is ever going to happen. Never. We have to be angry. We have to push. And we're going to say, we're not taking it anymore. We're going for independence if you don't do anything about it. If you don't do a 180-degree turn, we are going to be independent.
But do you not think that change starts at home, and that, you know, the people, I mean, our island has a lot of autonomy. We have a government, we have a budget. It's very easy to blame Aurigny. It's very easy to blame Guernsey.
I'm not blaming them.
Mm.
I'm saying I want it back. It was stolen. I'm not blaming them. I'm saying you stole something from us. Well, you stole the gaming industry. If we would have had the gaming industry, we would have fixed the runway and everything ourselves. But you stole it from us.
Well, who's in charge of Alderney?
I don't know.
I mean, we're a leaderless society. We're a ghost ship.
Yeah, but the thing is, we are in a box, and we change the people inside the box. But if you don't break open the box and think different, nothing is going to happen. We have to think different.
It's hard though, isn't it? Because you go to people's meetings.
It's not hard. You just do it.
Well, the thing is, I love going to people's meetings and seeing everyone getting mad as hell.
I know.
And then you go to the pub and it's fine again. Everything's fine again. So because you know everyone, it's like you're yelling at the one hand.
That's what beers does to you.
Yeah, well, that's it. Everyone softens up a little bit. But here's the thing: like every day, every day in the UK, there's thousands and thousands of businesses going under. They're just failing, and the startup company failure rate is 99%. Like you're gonna fail if you're gonna start a new company, and they're the ones that work 7 days a week. They're the ones that absolutely go.
Yeah, but they have a common mistake amongst them. They're not original. You know the term USP.
Of course.
Unique selling point. Yeah. Every business idea has to have a unique selling point. Our unique selling point, which nobody can copy. The businesses you're talking about going under, they're copycats. They see somebody succeed, and all of a sudden, you have 100 people selling socks at the railway stations in the UK, or selling coffees, or it's because they're copycats. And in the end, nobody's earning money, and they're going broke. But our USP is Alderney. What we have here is unique. Nobody can copy us. And it's in Europe.
It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah.
It's amazing. So if you just can view ourselves different, that we are unique, we can be proud walking around in Alderney. We are unique. Even in Channel Islands, we are unique. I can imagine Herman Sark are also very unique, but they're perhaps a little bit too small.
Well, it's like Goldilocks, isn't it?
To do what we can do. But we can do so much. And I'm with everybody. I don't want to make this island to like a tourist attraction with thousands of people coming in every time. But we can up it a bit. We can invite a little bit of investment, but all supervised by us. It's only what we want, and nobody's taking over it. But to have a little bit more people here, and to have a little more things happen. And we are unique. Nobody can ever copy us. Guernsey cannot copy us. Jersey cannot copy us. Together we can be fantastic.
It's something that I think about a lot, but I wonder who the hell's going to do all this work. On an island of retirees who really don't have time to get up and do this sort of stuff. I look around and I think, well, all the young people are working hard to survive, and would love to own a house here, but they can't afford that.
No.
And then you've got the older ones who are all retired and playing politics and stuff, and you go, who is actually doing the work? Like anyone?
Yeah.
It's like, no, there's actually all these generals and no soldiers.
Well, I mean, we could have a referendum.
Well, you could, but what do you want to do? You want to cut off your nose to spite your face? It's like, if Alderney decided to go independent tomorrow, it would be a disaster.
No, but before that,
who the hell would do any of this work to keep the island together? Like I love the idea of 20 years ago. Maybe we had a review of it, but our dependency rate is 82 out of every 100 working people is over 65. That. Like the UK is at about 29, Guernsey's at about 32, we're at 82. We shouldn't be here right now. We're only here because of Guernsey paying for stuff. This island would have actually had depopulation 10 years ago. because the age of everyone is so old.
So you're saying nothing can be done?
No. I think that good leadership. I think that the president of Alderney, regardless of who it is, needs to take more responsibility. I think that we need to vote in a president based on the policies that they want Alderney to go through, rather than more of a role that's ceremonial.
I think if the population of Alderney wants a different way of doing it, it can be done.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but it's leadership again, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
like you're doing your thing, and I'm doing my thing, but we need somebody to come along and say, okay, mobilize everybody. But like we don't have that, because it's all very, we don't. I mean, maybe in 1,000 new people that come, we might find there's someone
it has to start now.
Has to start now. Well, I'm certainly not the revolutionary, and I'm certainly not the diplomat. I've sat in people's meetings and gone to states meetings, and I find myself really at odds with what's going on, because I'm just saying as I feel it's right, and then you get told that you shouldn't be saying. I mean, the former CEO of the island sent me an email saying that he hears that my views on the civil service is negative. Please do not share your views with people.
I heard that something I said.
Unbelievable. So I send that email around to different people and saying, at what point did the CEO get the opportunity or the authority to tell just a normal resident of the island that they shouldn't share their views?
Stupid.
And I'm thankful he's gone, but in a way I'm a bit like, I'm not exactly happy with the fact that we're still on the trajectory at the moment to go into depopulation. Like, I don't think people understand. It's like, it's not going to affect you. You're still going to go to the Georgian till the day you drop dead. Don't worry about it. It'll be the future of the island. And you do hope that the people who have the authority have the responsibility. I know that the states members, there's 10 of them, you have the responsibility of the next 50 years of the island. Because there are people on the island who's going to be here for 50 years. And we elect you not for the next 5 years, but for the next 50 years. We want you to be looking into the future and not just, I find it unbelievable that we're not getting everyone together who wants to work on Alderney stuff and put them to work. Like, there's great voluntary organizations out there. You've got the Wildlife Trust, you've got, all these places that can galvanize, but they all have a leader. Roland's, nature boy.
Yeah.
He has the passion and the energy for nature, and it's people gravitate towards it. And I like that, but we have no political parties.
Here's another USP.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
absolutely brilliant. But you're doing the same thing now with
well,
bees. It's creating energy.
Well, I'm trying in my small way, and I'm not afraid of anybody. And I just say what I think. And maybe when I'm saying what I think, they will awaken some people I mean, I don't want to break away, but if I see there's no option, then I want to break away. But I want people in Guernsey to wake up. I'd like people in Jersey to wake up and say, we could be super strong together. And Alderney is definitely a unique island, So when you say there's so many people going bust and so on, that's because they're copycats. Nobody can copy Alderney.
Well, I think this is, annoyingly, I think the technology of today, it's not exactly like, I believe that 50 years ago, there was loads of problems you could solve. Your dad found a load of problems and that created a lot of wealth. And then he got to, we're now at a weird point where it's like going off the edge of a cliff. It's like we're now in this technology chasm,
Lemels.
It's like, what do we do now? It's like, every single problem has been solved. It's like, and I'm not saying every problem, but like at least the bigger society problems, then they're, what are you going to do? You bored? Watch Netflix. You need to get an Uber somewhere or a taxi somewhere, use Uber. You need to book a hotel somewhere, use Airbnb. And you go, oh, right. Well, so we're starting to limit the amount of problems just shrinking. And you look at your credit card statements, and there's all these huge multinational corporations, and that wasn't like that 30 years ago, And so I think that Alderney's innovation, as you're saying, we clearly need. I think it's going to come through grassroots movement.
But it's got to be 180 degree. you have to change the mind of people. It's no use to say, okay, maybe we can give them a little bit more runway, or you have to think different. We are an asset, like in Sweden, our woods that don't yield any tax money is an asset for us. It's an asset. We are an asset for the bailiwick. We are an asset.
But here's the thing. So I've worked in startup companies like all my life for the last decade, and they're not just testing one thing a day. They're testing 10 things every day, and they've got investment to throw at it to test 10 things a day. And by the end of a year, you'll figure out which one works. In Alderney, we can't make one decision a year, let alone 10 a day, and so you start to think about the way that committees run and the way that the island runs. You think we just need one person to say, right, here's the cash, here's all the people on the island, you guys go ahead and try stuff. We're at that point now. It is crisis point. But when you're
but if you don't change the attitude, nothing will ever happen. You're just patching up not only the runway, you're patching up everyday life. If we were stolen 50, 60 million in income from the gambling industry, we wouldn't be a problem for Guernsey. It's as simple as that.
I mean, I've heard people talk about going independent, and I mean, do we have a lawyer on Alderney who works for our civil service to protect our
Everything
states?
can be found. Everything.
Well, yeah, but when
No.
you ain't got a pot to piss in, it's very difficult to start changing the world.
One state's member say, "Well, we haven't got the housing. For God's sake, we were 300-400 more people before, and there was never this talk about housing. Now we are less. What do you mean we can't build a house? It's ridiculous. Of course we can build houses.
Well, I guess it is.
Just give the incentive to a builder.
Yeah.
To a developer.
Well, you'd have to take out a big loan, right? I mean, the states would have to.
Yeah, but no, not the states. Let entrepreneurs do it. They risk their own money, but they will also gain money if they get the income from it. We don't have to put £1 down. You just give the incentive to entrepreneurs, to builders and so on. Build us a place to house 300-400 people, an area.
I think there are a lot of entrepreneurs on the island as well. I mean, pretty much everyone I know.
Yeah, but you have to think different on how you do it. I mean, the idea is here that the states doesn't have the money because they think wrong. It's not the state's money that's going to be spent. It's individuals' money. The incentive for people is to earn a bit of money out of it. That's the way to do it. And then when they earn a bit of money, the states will have tax money. But the risk is always with the entrepreneur or with the builder and so on. Of course it can be done. It's done everywhere else.
Well, I wish the incentive was just to survive for 50 years. Like I do so many things on this island for free because people can't afford. I mean, if I was to charge people my actual rates, they wouldn't. You couldn't afford me. So I do it because I'm like, well, I'd love Alderney. I just love Alderney, and when I see some of the problems that we've got coming ahead,
you're really saying I should pay you for this interview.
No, not at all. No. I think I don't know. I mean, I'm only here because my mum and dad. If I wasn't living rent free here, then I'd be in the UK or America or somewhere, and I'd be earning money and I'd be paying money. But then Alderney wouldn't have a video storyteller. I'm trying to tell stories on the island, and
you do it really well.
Well, I appreciate it, but it would be lovely if this, our government decided to say, you know what, Cam, we don't really know what you do, but here's some money. Go and try and get us more people. We had a campaign for the school. We have 500,000 views on a video that I made about St Anne's School to promote towards the UK.
I remember, I saw that.
20,000 people have clicked on the school's website because of that one video, and not even a thank you, Cam. I got the Lord Lieutenant Governor of the Bailiwick reach out to me and say, I've seen your video about St Anne's School. I'm really proud of you. Well done. I hope you get new families. Not a single bloody states member has even said anything, you know. And I'm not saying this. I'm saying this because I'm mad. I'm mad. I'm angry as hell, you know.
I like that.
I'm angry.
I like
I'm
that.
angry at the fact that you can't. If you got people who are willing to
Now
work,
you see how I feel.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely,
angry as
yeah.
hell.
Like, but you know, there's also another thing that I love is that I just love the community of Alderney. When I go to Guernsey and Jersey, like, and I don't know any of these people, I go, oh, I'm starting to like my statesmen. I love my people in Alderney now, and that's just kind of community, is that not? That's
of
kind
course
of
it is. And I love at the wine bar. We have so many more locals coming in now. That's really nice.
And have you ever seen anywhere else in the world that's like this island? Because it's Marmite. You love it, you hate it, but there's something. Anywhere else you've ever been that you've seen anything close to resemblance of this place?
The village where I live in when I'm in Switzerland, that's really nice. So I was walking home late one night, maybe 1, 2 o'clock, and it's completely empty. And there was some youngsters standing on a street corner blocking the way.
Oh,
and I'm from Gothenburg, and I lived in London, so you're prepared for trouble. So I was walking to them, and when I approached them, like 2 meters away, they all parted, and they said, "Good evening, sir." And that only happens in Switzerland.
Wow, they were just saying good evening.
Yeah, they're so polite.
Wow.
And they're so respectful. And I think it's the same here.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't get that in London these days.
No. You wouldn't get in Gothenburg. And
London's very, I mean, I'm going back to London pretty soon just to go and do some proper work, get paid money. And yeah, I mean, it's dangerous these days in London. I've a lot of my friends will not, take their phones out in public anymore because, people on a moped will quickly jump off and snatch their phones or something.
But, it's like, when you mentioned that, we can't be complacent. We got to put our foot down. We got to show that we're mad as hell. And we're not taking it anymore. With so many different things in society. Because it's like you say, we have everything. We can sit at home watching Netflix, doing this. We can shop from home. They bring you the food. So we are getting mentally isolated in our brains. So we don't want to engage anymore. But we have to engage. We have to get angry. We have to put our foot down.
You got to stand for something, right?
Sorry?
You have to stand for something.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
But otherwise, what is life about? Is life about dreaming away when you're watching Netflix?
They do say that soft times create weak men.
Yeah.
And hard times create hard men. Something about that.
I think that's true.
And maybe this is a very, very soft time. My biggest fear is the fact that, like, on this tiny island of Alderney, 2,000 people, it's best to fix the roof when the sun is shining. And right now, the sun is kind of still shining, so if there's any fixes that are going to get made, you better do it now, because you got, look into the crystal ball 10 years' time, and you think, we're going to lose the majority of our island in the next 10 years.
Here we are.
And the real question is, what are you doing about it? But listen, we could probably speak for absolutely hours about the island's politics, and I'm very grateful that you've been able to share with me that, because it is also about finding other people who are like-minded, and they're not also people that are not like-minded as well, but having the space to have this conversation.
Maybe when I talk, maybe the people who are half sleeping, seeing this interview, maybe some of them will say, well, he's got a point. Yeah, I'd like to put my foot down. I want to open my windows and say, I'm not taking this shit anymore. Maybe, and really what I'm hoping for is that somebody in Guernsey is going to say, he's got a point. And in 1 or 2 years' time, this guy is going to make so many people angry in Alderney. So maybe we better do something now.
Well, here's the truth about this technology is that you know, if you wanted to go on a mission to turn these kind of
I know.
stories into something everyone hears every day, you
Yeah.
could.
Yeah.
And so, like, the people who are still riding the horses and not going to the cars, it's like, be careful, because one day you may just find that your lack of innovation is going to bite you on the bum, because the story that people are going to hear isn't going to be about how wonderful these islands are. It's going to be about the individuals who are standing in the way of progress. And I would hate to have to, you know, personally fight a vendetta. If someone had a vendetta against me, I would hate it so much, you know. No one wants that personally, but eventually you start looking at the stumbling blocks and you go, you got to get them out of the way, right?
But I'll tell you a short story before we close. I met one states member, and I said, well, obviously I can't say any names, but I knew a few of them. And I said, well, he's a really nice guy. And this other guy said, no, he's not a nice guy. And I know he's a nice guy.
Yeah, yeah.
And this other guy is also a nice guy. So, like you say, it's not a vendetta or anything. But I think when you're down to that level, when you sort of, the whole concept is that you got to change the system. You got to think differently. Guernsey got to think differently about us. They got to understand that some people are getting mad as hell in Alderney, and maybe we should think 180 degrees differently. Maybe we should treat them like equals. Maybe we should give them some of the gambling industry back. Maybe we should work together with Alderney. Maybe we should have a closer look on how the states members work, the actual setup. There's nothing wrong with the people inside, but maybe there's the whole setup to give them a different platform, you know? I love everybody in Alderney.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
But I reserve the right to have my own opinion.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? I take that back. I don't love everyone 100%.
Or maybe not I do.
I love everyone at least 51%.
Yeah.
And that's enough for me. You know, it's enough for me just to say there's no one I hate. And that's what I love about this island. I mean, there's plenty of people in the UK I hate, but here it's just so special. What do you love about Alderney then? How would you summarize what you love about this island?
Well, it's got to be the people. Otherwise, it's just an island, in the sea. No, it's got to be the people, and very friendly, very helpful. They are very, very good at spreading rumors. That's one thing I don't like, because I'm not that type of person. It's a sort of thing people love to do here. Instead of doing Netflix, they do rumors, But that's the thing I don't like. But apart from that, I love it.
Well, Bennt, thank you very much for joining me on the show. I love that, because I didn't think we were going to get into the politics of it all. But you're a fascinating guy. I'd love to have you back at some point in the future. Thanks very much for coming.
Thank you.